Hey, how is everyone doing today? I'm really excited to bring you this training because for me, I always wanted to know why. Why am I sick? Why am I having these symptoms? And no doctors could ever answer that. So today's going to be a little bit different. I usually like to sit, hey Jordan, I usually like to sit and talk to the camera because I feel more connected to you that way. But today I wanted to make sure I covered all of the information. So I have it all written down and I'm going to do a lot of reading. I could send you these notes later if you want them, just message me. They're not pretty, but there's a good outline and there's a lot of information in there. So if you want to take notes. Okay, again, the why. Why am I sick? What is happening to me? I don't understand. Tell me how this happened. And every time I'd go to the doctor, there would be absolutely no answers. So I wanted to first start off by telling you or talking about the tests that we have to go through in order to get a definitive MS diagnosis, right? You got to get the spinal tap, you got to get the blood tests, you got to get the MRIs. Did you know that all of those tests have to come back negative? They have to come back clear in order for you to get an MS diagnosis. Yeah, I didn't know that either. They have to look at them and say, okay, well, there's nothing here that explains this. There's nothing here, and there's nothing here that explains this. Okay, well, she's having these symptoms. It must be MS. So this is taken directly from the Mayo Clinic website. If you Google right now, MS diagnosis Mayo Clinic, this is what you're going to see. Your doctor here, there are no specific tests for MS. Instead, a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis often relies on ruling out other conditions that might produce similar signs and symptoms, known as a differential diagnosis. Very different from looking at blood and saying, oh, look, those are the biomarkers, you have XYZ. So it says here, your doctor's likely to start with a thorough medical history and examination. You go through your blood test to help rule out other diseases with symptoms similar to MS. Tests to check for specific biomarkers associated with MS are currently under development. It means they're not happening right now. They're currently under development and may also aid in diagnosing the disease. Your blood tests have to come back normal. The spinal tap, the lumbar puncture, small sample of your spinal fluid is removed from the body and then analyzed. The sample can show abnormalities in antibodies that are associated with MS. The antibodies, what they're seeing is that your body has produced antibodies, which means it's on the attack. It's attacked something, but it doesn't know what because there's nothing showing up in your blood. We're going to get to why later. If you're on, say hello. I'm going to look up every now and then. I just said I'm going to be doing a lot of reading. I'm going to cover a lot of information today, so I'm going to be looking down a lot. So, all right, the third test is the MRI, which can reveal areas of lesions on your brain and spinal cord, right? Can. So let's say that they do. You say, all right, I have lesions on my brain and spine. Well, I have MS. Let's talk about these brain markings that they tell us is the reason. This is taken directly from the Medical Medium. Again, online you can find this. Medical Medium says, oftentimes a brain lesion will be seen on the MRI or a CAT scan of someone who has been diagnosed with MS. It's important to note that millions of people who are diagnosed with MS live their lives with harmless markings inside their brains that they are completely unaware of. These lesions can be caused by a number of things that aren't problematic and aren't causing any issues, including a crystallization, calcification, or scar tissue from a knock on the head many years ago that may not be causing any issues at all. However, if you're struggling with stiffness, weakness, numbness, blurry vision, or any other symptoms associated with MS, you may be given an inaccurate MS diagnosis. It's common to have unharmful markings on your brain. So all the tests that they do for MS, they go, oh, well, you have lesions on your brain, and they scare the hell out of us, right? But so many times, they just said millions of people have brain markings, and they don't have any symptoms, so they never go to the doctor, and they never get diagnosed with their two clear tests and their brain markings. So, all right, we're going to jump around a little bit. If you aren't, this is also from the Medical Medium, if you aren't exhibiting symptoms, you may be incorrectly told that you have MS if a scan reveals noticeable markings on the brain. These markings, which you may have had from birth or childhood, or which could be deposits of heavy metals or MSG, are seldomly connected to MS. There are unique cases where viral inflammation leads to the creation of severe pockets and lesions in the brain, along with damaged nerve sheaths and nerve endings. All of this may trigger MS-related symptoms, but these instances are rare. Goes on to say, if you're suffering from MS symptoms, it's likely that a variety of Epstein-Barr virus is releasing an abundance of neurotoxins, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Neurotoxins are a harmful byproduct that's created when a virus feeds off a toxin, such as a heavy metal. This damaging byproduct can interfere with your neurological symptoms' ability to function and can trigger MS symptoms. This can occur whether or not you have lesions or markings on your brain. I'm seeing a lot of people jump on now. Just want you to know we're getting a lot of information covered today. There's going to be a lot of reading. So if you are on, say hi. I will look up and I will see. Okay, some people experience MS symptoms because of a combination of viruses, such as a strain of Epstein-Barr, shingles, or HHV. HHV6 is a herpes strain of the Epstein-Barr virus. Other factors that can contribute are B12 deficiency. Regardless of the specific mix of viruses and issues you're up against, it's likely that an abundance of neurotoxins are floating through your system and wreaking havoc. This is why I always say the first thing you start with is starving the virus, killing the virus, and detoxing it out. So now we're going to go through the 4 stages of Epstein-Barr. So you're like, great, so my symptoms are being caused by the Epstein-Barr virus. That doesn't help. This is what I thought. This just gives me another name to call it. Okay, it's the Epstein-Barr virus. It's MS. Who cares? I'm still having these symptoms. You can kill the virus. When our doctors tell us that there is nothing that we can do, it's because they can't see the virus. We get our blood tests, and in our blood, the Epstein-Barr virus is no longer there. It has traveled to an organ, or it has reached its final destination, which is your nerves. The reason why it loves your nerves so much is because then it can travel to any organ in your body. So we're going to go through the 4 stages of Epstein-Barr. And the first time that I went through this, I was amazed because it was like reading the stages of my childhood, starting in middle school when I was diagnosed with mononucleosis. So there are 60 strains of Epstein-Barr and 5 different groups. We're not going to get into all of that now. You can read about that online if you want to, but I want to go through the stages because I know for me, finding this information out was when it finally gave me something to target. When I was first diagnosed, and asking why, they can never give me any answers. They just said my body was attacking itself. So I thought, it doesn't matter who you believe created us, right? It doesn't matter if you believe in God. Whoever you believe created our bodies did not put something inside of our bodies that would wrongly program our immune system. We are these perfect creatures with a perfect immune system. It's not attacking itself. What's happening is that medical science can't see the virus. So it sees that your immune system is attacking something. And it goes, oh, well, we don't see what it's attacking, so it's attacking nothing. So your body's attacking itself. It's a theory. They still don't have any proof, but there is proof of the Epstein-Barr virus. The only problem is you can't walk into your neurologist perfectly fine and say, I want to get all of my organs biopsied. It's too expensive. They're never going to do it. But that's where the virus is. And we can tell where the virus is by our symptoms. Hold on. Okay, so we're at stage 1. Stage 1 of the virus is when it's dormant and it's floating around. You got it from somewhere, you got it from someone, or it got passed down from your mother. And I do believe I gave it to my daughter. We're seeing symptoms already, but we're managing them. She's already gluten-free and dairy-free, and she's doing much better. So in stage 1, it floats around your body, and it just replicates, and it's gaining strength now, okay? It's waiting for an opportunity to directly attack. It can be killed at this stage, and it can be killed very easily because it's so weak. But we don't know we have it because there are no symptoms, so we don't do anything. It can take weeks, months, decades, or longer to reach stage 2. That's why they say 85% of the people in this world have the Epstein-Barr virus. And you're like, all right, well, why don't 85% of them have an autoimmune disease? Because sometimes it takes decades for them to reach stage 2. Now, what happens in stage 2? This is the stage where it's most contagious. This is why mononucleosis is called the kissing disease. It's not actually the kissing disease. Yes, saliva gets exchanged, but you can get it through so many other avenues. So the immune system attacks and tags the virus with a hormone, labeling it an invader. Everyone is different and the strains are different. This is mononucleosis, okay? So even if you were never diagnosed with mononucleosis, it doesn't mean that you never had it. Because just like take today's virus, the COVID virus, some people are deathly ill, some people die, and some people get a runny nose. I have my friend, Savine, she just got over it and she said, I would have thought it was allergies. If I never got tested, I would have never known. So mononucleosis doesn't always present symptoms that are going to bring you to a doctor to get diagnosed. All right, hospitalized with a mono diagnosis, fatigued for weeks, enlarged spleen or liver. That was me in middle school. They couldn't understand what was happening with my body. They just knew that my liver was so enlarged, they can feel it. And they said that we don't know why your body is attacking itself. I wasn't diagnosed at this point yet. They just said it was mononucleosis the first time. And the second time they said, we don't know. Your white blood cell count is so high, your body's obviously attacking something, but we can't find anything. That was middle school. I was homeschooled for a long time because of the fatigue. I was out for months. Okay, so at this stage, stage 2, this is where it takes up its long-time residence in one of your organs, okay? So it's going to find an organ that it likes. And what is it looking for? It's looking for food. Where am I going to live where I can easily eat, right? Food will easily come to me. That's going to be your liver, your spleen, your thyroid. And the reason is because these organs collect heavy metals. Through our diets, through our environment, we collect heavy metals, and that's what the viruses feed on. Yeah, usually the liver or the spleen where the heavy metals accumulate. Okay, so EBV's best, Epstein-Barr virus, EBV. EBV's best friend is strep throat, the streptococcus virus. I don't know if you struggled with that for a long time, but I feel like I'm always getting, or I was always getting strep throat. Now, what strep throat does is it travels north or it travels south. When it travels up, you're always having strep throat, you're always having sinus problems, mouth sores. Remember canker sores? I say remember because I don't get them anymore, but I used to get them all the time. That's when strep travels up. When it travels down, that's when you're getting UTIs all the time, kidney and bladder issues. I see you guys are on. If you have any questions, please just don't worry about interrupting. Just go ahead because sometimes it's a nice interruption from all of my talking. Okay, so that's stage 2, mononucleosis. Now, you get over mononucleosis, right? And you get better, and then all of a sudden the doctor says, okay, you're fine, and you think your life goes on. What happens is it's just now getting into stage 3. Stage 3 is when it finds its organ to live in. That's when things get really bad. So stage 3, it has a home and is comfortably undetected from your immune system. It's undetectable now, and doctors can only see the antibodies. So even if you get tested for Epstein-Barr, they're going to say, no, you had it at one point, but you don't have it now because we only see the antibodies, which means your body at one time attacked it. But what's happening is they're only testing your blood. They're not looking inside your organs. Keep that in mind. There are no tests today to detect for EBV inside the organs. The medical medium says we're a few decades away from that. It will happen. And I think about when I'm like 80 years old and this information is all over the internet and I'm telling my grandkids, I used to talk about this back in my 40s, you know, and I'm gonna sound crazy to them. But anyway, I laugh about that often. Okay, so at any stage, your Epstein-Barr could be dormant. It could be dormant inside your liver, your spleen for years. Nothing may happen. You may not have a very sluggish liver, an overloaded liver, a liver with heavy metals that are, you know, feeding the virus. You might not have that. So what happens is you don't get a lot of symptoms. You don't get that diagnosis. Now, you're here, so you got the diagnosis, so your liver's been overburdened. You've probably been dealing with a lifetime of processed food the way I was, a stressful childhood. We're going to talk about stress in a minute because I want to read the comments that were posted about where you were, what stress was happening right before your diagnosis. But I want to talk about real quick the waste matter from the Epstein-Barr virus. Waste matter that EBV produces looks like spirochetes. Spirochetes are just, they're called that because of the spiral shape of the toxin, okay? Which is why MS is often a misdiagnosed as Lyme's disease. I'm going to read this to you directly from the medical medium. You may be interested to know that Lyme disease is a chronic viral infection. While you might have been diagnosed with a bacterial infection, the symptoms of Lyme are viral. Even if the bacteria, Borrelia, or Borrelia, I can never say that right, are present, they're not what's causing the patient to suffer. That's not what's causing your symptoms. The symptoms of Lyme are neurological, and bacteria don't create neurological symptoms because they don't produce neurotoxins. Remember that. Viruses produce neurotoxins. That's why we get the tinglies, the weakness, the numbness. That's why we get the brain fog, the neurotoxins. Only viruses produce them, not bacteria. Only viruses feeding on toxic heavy metals such as mercury, aluminum, and copper, as well as gluten, eggs, dairy, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides that are inside of our livers and our other parts of our bodies create the neurotoxins that is Lyme's disease. So a lot of times when you're diagnosed with MS later in life, you got maybe a misdiagnosis of Lyme's disease first. So they're back and forth because the toxins created are the same shape. They're the spirochetes. You know, the little springs in pens? That's actually what they look like under a microscope. So for me, I wrote this little note because I wanted to tell you guys, this is why the name of the diagnosis doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're calling it MS, Lyme's disease, lupus, any autoimmune disease, or Lyme's disease. Excuse me. It doesn't matter what they're calling it. Your symptoms matter. No matter what the virus is called, all viruses feed on heavy metals, and they all can be killed. Yes, it takes a process, but that's why I teach how to starve the virus, because you want to weaken it first, right? Because that's when you can kill it, when it's weak. Then you want to kill the virus with your strong immune system, and then you want to detox it out, because even the corpse of the virus is still a neurotoxin, and that's still going to cause symptoms. So you're like, well, you said the virus has a 6-week life cycle, and I've been gluten-free. I haven't been feeding it. I've been killing it for 6 weeks. Why do I still have symptoms? Yes, they're lessened, but why are they still there? Because you're dealing with the corpse now. Now your body is dealing with an overload of a dead Epstein-Barr virus. And when you want to say, well, if it's dead, how is it causing any problems? Even the corpse itself is a neurotoxin to our nerves. And that's why it's just as important to detox the virus out as it is to starve the virus and kill the virus. You starve, you kill, you detox, and you do that every day through the foods that you eat. And that's what I teach. The foods to eat, to do all 3 every day and still enjoy your food, still have your comfort food, and not feel like an absolute freak when you go to your family gatherings and you have to say, I can't eat that. You can bring your food, and I teach you how to do that. All right, moving right along. I already talked. See, I get ahead. Okay, so remember I told you there are different forms of the Epstein-Barr virus. There are different strains of it. Some are more aggressive than others. So I took this and I wanted to tell you, if you have an aggressive form of EBV, here are your issues. Sluggish liver. A sluggish liver lowers your stomach's hydrochloric acid, which turns your intestinal tract toxic. This results in food not being digested and putrefying and turning into bloating and constipation. Anyone want to raise their hand here and tell me if they have bloating and constipation? I had that for years. My mother thought I had IBS because she had IBS. Well, guess what? IBS is also caused by the Epstein-Barr virus. She finally, after I healed myself, I said, Ma, please just try the gluten-free. Try what I'm doing. And she did. And she said, Janine, for the first time in my life, she was 50-something at the time, for the first time in my life, I don't feel like I'm being ruled by my stomach. I don't fear going out to eat because I can't fit into my pants an hour after I eat. Food allergies. This is another one. If you have the aggressive form of EBV, you develop food allergies that never caused a problem before. This is because the virus feeds on these foods and turns it into something your body doesn't recognize. Okay? The virus, I'm a visual learner. I have to picture everything. So that's how I explain things. So the virus eats these foods, poops it out, and now that poop has that food in it in a different form, and your immune system attacks that going, what the hell is that? That's not what you ate. I don't recognize this as a food. And then it starts to go on the attack. The fatigue. How many of you struggle with fatigue for so many years and you're like, what the hell? And they go, oh, you have chronic fatigue syndrome. Okay, it's not a syndrome. There's a reason why I'm so tired. And the reason is because my immune system is constantly on the attack. Once you get that virus under control and your body is not attacking it so much, the first thing that come back is your energy, because your immune system finally goes, oh, thank you. The way I explained it to my kids is that all of these fighters in your body, they're constantly working. They have to rest, but they don't get a rest. So what happens is your entire body shuts down and starts getting tired. And you wonder why when you wake up, you feel just as tired as you did before you went to sleep. That is fatigue. And a lot of people, I understand, they don't realize fatigue is not tired. Tired is you can go to sleep, right? You can go to sleep and you wake up and you feel better. Fatigue is you go to sleep and you wake up and you feel worse. You're just as tired or you're more tired. Okay, so hepatitis C. Anyone diagnosed with hepatitis C? This chronic inflammation of the liver is caused by EBV, creating scar tissue in the organ, a discovery that medical research and science are going to land on pretty soon. This is what the medical medium says. Because of the years it takes for EBV to create this disruptive scarring, by the time it's turned into hepatitis C, other EBV cells have already advanced to the thyroid or beyond, meaning that those with hepatitis C are also dealing with compromised thyroids. The length of time it takes to develop is also why hepatitis C is commonly present in older people. When I was in the hospital in middle school, they said hepatitis C. They said all of these things. I had all of these clues throughout my entire life, and I never put them all together. I intuitively knew that something was wrong in my body. I knew that there was either, this is what I felt, it was either a bacteria, a virus, or a fungus. And when I decided to start healing myself, I figured I was going to treat my body as if I had all three. And I was constantly going to eat the foods to kill all three of them. It wasn't until I got better, but I found the book in 2015 by the medical medium. That entire book, the first book, The Medical Medium, the first book was basically a description of my entire childhood and all of my symptoms and everything that I thought was going on in my body. He said, it is, and this is why. And it gave me a target to work towards, to kill. So I had lingering symptoms. I said I was healed. I was. By 2015, I mean, I was walking. I was out of bed. I didn't need a wheelchair. I didn't even need a cane. And I could go all day. But I still had the numbness, the tingles. I still got tired when I didn't think I should be tired. And that was because I still had the virus in me. But once I had the medical medium information, I was able to zone in and target really that virus. And today, 2021, I don't have any symptoms because I know what it is. I know where to go to kill it. And I know how to detox it out of my body. And that's the reason why I created this group, because I'm not the only one. I thought I was for a very long time, but I'm not. There are so many other people who have healed themselves from MS. They don't know why. All they know is that this is what they did. They ate healthy. They stayed away from gluten, eggs, dairy. Most people who have MS don't like eggs because our body intuitively tells us what we need to heal. A lot of people don't like eggs. A lot of people eat eggs because they think it's good for them. Or you just put so much shit on top of it that they taste good and you're not really tasting the egg anymore, just like with gluten and dairy. All right, so I wanted to talk about stress. The aggressive strain of EBV will bide its time until it senses a stress-related hormone indicating your vulnerability. I'm going to read that again. Listen to this. The aggressive strain of EBV will bide its time until it senses stress-related hormones indicating your vulnerability, such as a severe emotional blow, a physical jolt such as a car accident, a hormonal upheaval, puberty, pregnancy, menopause. And then we wonder why MS is a woman's disease. Yes, I know that there are some men who have it too, but I think it's because what we just read there, the virus knows when you're vulnerable. The virus knows when your immune system is preoccupied. So that's when it goes on the attack. So I'm going to try to remember where I'm going here. Remind me, stress related. Did you know that right before you get your period, you know how bad PMS is? The reason why we feel the way we do right before our periods is because it's either 75 or 80 or some high crazy percentage of our immune system goes to our reproductive organs. That means only 15 or 20% of our immune system is left to deal with everything else, the Epstein-Barr virus. So that's why we get so tired and all of our symptoms seem to be exaggerated right before our periods, because this happens every single month. So the virus knows when we're vulnerable. Hold on one second. The virus knows when we're vulnerable because we're releasing stress hormones. The virus goes, she's stressed. This is the perfect time to go out and wreak havoc in her system, eat what I want to, and travel wherever I want to go without the immune system trying to kill me. So I asked in the group a couple days ago, I said, what was going on in your life right before you got diagnosed? The stories that I heard were amazing. Now, I have my own story of what was going on in my life. I like to tell the funny part of everything else that was going on in my life right before I was diagnosed. My son was kicked out of daycare because he was a biter. He bit this poor, beautiful blonde girl's forehead right here. And then that same day, I lost my assistant at work, and I was given 3 more projects to deal with without the assistant. And here I am, a very young girl in corporate America, thinking I'm so important. I can't afford to take time off. Yeah, it was pretty awful. I just want to read you a couple of these if you're interested. So Mary writes, my father, right before she was diagnosed, my father died in 2013. I couldn't accept it. I thought my parents would live forever. It was when my symptoms first appeared, but I wasn't aware. Then in 2014, my husband almost died of an appendix operation, but luckily he survived. It escalated into 2016 when I had harsh problems at work and many other stresses at home. Her symptoms all burst in 2017. That virus knows exactly when to attack. Jody writes, my mother-in-law, whom I loved, same question. What happened to you? What was going on in your life right before you were diagnosed? Jody writes, my mother-in-law, whom I loved dearly for 21 years, dropped dead in front of me and 18 others at my niece's baby shower. I did CPR, paramedics and life flight came, but no shockable heart rhythm resumed, cardiac arrest, or brain aneurysm. Right before her diagnosis. Mary, I've been reflecting on this very thing recently, and I realized that I'm sure it was probably the key added factor in the MS ocular neuritis manifesting. I'm not suggesting this alone would have prevented it had it been absent, but I think for many of us there is a lot to be gained by looking with great love and compassion at that time before our disease manifested. It is absolutely amazing how similar these stories are. When you start to identify a pattern, the more people you talk to, you start to identify a pattern and go, wow. You read about the Epstein-Barr virus, right? You read about the science, and then you talk to these people. All of these people with MS, and the stories are so similar. And I don't think I finished my thought before. The reason why I think women are diagnosed so much is because we're usually I say, because there's a lot of men out there in these situations too, we're usually the ones who are taking on so much. I talk to so many women and they go, I don't have time to take care of myself. I have to take care of my kids, my husband, the house. Oh yeah, and I work full time. We take so much on and our bodies start to break. We get weaker and weaker and weaker. And that's when the virus sees us and goes, oh my God, perfect time for me to attack. And that's when we get the symptoms. If you ask anybody with MS, what was going on in your life in the months or years leading up to your diagnosis, you're always going to get a hugely compelling story that will further prove this theory. Just a few more. Jade writes, my first pregnancy, I slipped down the stairs and dislocated my foot. Sometime after my foot recovered, I slipped on the floor while walking and fell on the ground. Jordan, first pregnancy loss and one early pregnancy loss and 1 loss at 5 months. Could you imagine? Husband also tore his patellar tendon, COVID, all in the span of 1 year. All of these stories are so consistent with the Epstein-Barr virus and how it reacts to our bodies. Puberty, pregnancy, menopause. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. All right. This I thought was very interesting too, because I always had the question, well, why can't my body attack this virus just like it attacks every other virus? I don't have the flu in me for years. What is so different about this virus? I finally found the answer. Listen to this. When the virus is ready to attack, it begins excreting another neurotoxin. This adds to the burden of your system already created by EBV's byproduct, the waste and the corpse. All this poison triggers your immune system and thoroughly confuses it because it has no idea where the toxins are coming from. While your immune system is in disarray, the EBV virus takes advantage of the chaos by leaving the organ it was nesting in and making a run for a different major organ, Yeah, it's not just one that it takes up residence in. It goes, ooh, she's stressed. Let me go to another organ. And that's why we get so many different symptoms. And we feel like a crazy person. We're at the doctor's going, now this is happening. Now this is happening. A year later, now this is happening. And all we get is, well, you have MS. So, you know, this is what happens. I used to joke and say, I could go to my doctor and say, my eyes are bleeding. Every night, blood just drips right out of them. And he'd go, well, you know, you have MS. So that's what happens. Okay, what was I saying? Oh, I don't think this explained it enough because I didn't copy the excerpt that I wanted to. The neurotoxin that virus creates when it goes on the attack, what it is it's a fog, right? Here's, if you can picture it, here's the virus. Remember like all the COVID virus pictures they used to show us? It's a round ball with those things sticking out. That's what all viruses look like, a little different, but it's a ball. So picture this ball. Your immune system can see it, right? So it should be able to attack it. Yeah, no, not with EBV. This little nasty fucker, excuse my language, emits a neurotoxin, which is like a fog, a cloud around it, right? Which is a neurotoxin, and it's floating all around it. So your immune system sees this and starts attacking this because the virus knows that it's now safe because it's clouded by it's not able to be seen because of the cloud of the neurotoxin that it created all around it. So now your immune system is trying to attack what it thinks is the invader, but it's really just the fog that the virus released so that it can get to where it needs to go. It creates like a little shield that your virus can't, your immune system can't see it. I thought that was absolutely amazing. Okay, so then I wrote, this is why you always have to be starving the virus. You have to weaken it so much, and that's by starving it. You don't want to feed it. It's gluten, it's eggs, it's dairy, and the heavy metal detox. I know you're not eating heavy metals. Sometimes we are, but we get them from our drinking water pipes. They're falling out of the air. They're in our environment. There's nothing we can do. But what we can do is drink that damn heavy metal smoothie and get it out gently every single day. So whatever heavy metals come into our system, we know every day we are getting them out. And eventually we are starving that virus. And when I say eventually, it really does not take that long, depending on where you are and how toxic you are. So you got to weaken the virus by starving the shit out of it. Then you have to build up your immune system with all of the antioxidants in our beautiful diets that we're now, and I hate diet, lifestyle, the way we eat right now. We have to build up our immune system so it can attack the weakened virus. And then that corpse, that dead corpse, it takes 6 weeks, but it does die. That corpse is a neurotoxin. So now you have to be detoxing it out of your body. And that's also with the heavy metal smoothie. Celery juice, we talked a lot about that too. Celery juice actually kills Epstein-Barr on contact. On contact. This is why we go running to the bathroom. Well, that's a whole nother thing, but I think you guys have seen the video on running to the bathroom. For me, it happened for months. I was so overloaded. I ran to the bathroom every time I drank celery juice. It wasn't painful. It was just disgusting. Some people it's weeks, some people it's months. It just depends on how much is inside you. Okay, I know that took a while to get to stage 4, but now we're at stage 4. EBV made a run for it. EBV's ultimate goal is to leave the organs and inflame your central nervous system by giving it access to your entire body. It wants to ride the wave throughout your entire body because it wants to go to this organ and that organ, and ooh, this organ has mercury, and this organ has aluminum, mercury, and lead, and then this it wants to go all over the place, right? So it wants to weaken your immune system and confuse the shit out of it with that fog it creates. And its ultimate goal is to ride your nerves. Yeah, literally, all of your nerves throughout all of your organs. There's so many branches off. I'm not going to. Okay, so I want to say this to you guys too. Each of us reacts to the virus differently based on our body's weakness, okay? All the autoimmune diseases out there are named for the symptoms that they create. Lupus. Lupus is your body reacting to Epstein-Barr's byproduct, the waste and the neurotoxins. Essentially, lupus is an allergic reaction to the virus's waste matter. It's a dermatoxin. So when your body reacts to the dermatoxin, what happens is you get rashes all over. That's lupus. That's how lupus is diagnosed. It's a very significant rash that they use to diagnose it. Thyroid issues. EBV made a run for the thyroid. So anyone with hyperthyroid, hypothyroid, EBV is in their thyroid. They have to do the same thing we do. But they have a different collection of symptoms, which is why they were diagnosed with thyroidism and not MS. MS, it found our nerves, because even when it's riding our nerves and looking for an organ, usually it's the vagus nerve because it travels up and down our bodies. If you look up the vagus nerve, and when EBV is on the vagus nerve, all of those symptoms that it creates, you're going to be amazed. I should do a video on that one next. Fibro and rheumatoid arthritis, your nerves are overwhelmed by the neurotoxin, right? So when it's all over your nerves and you are in so much pain, that's what rheumatoid arthritis is, pain everywhere, all over on your nerves. Chronic fatigue, your immune system is exhausted from the fight. I know I said that before. Osteoporosis, your immune system can't get the calcium from your blood to wall off the virus, so it extracts the calcium from your bones. Do you want me to read that one again? Because I felt like that one was huge. Your immune system can't get the calcium from your blood to wall off the virus and protect itself, so it extracts the calcium from your bones. That's what osteoporosis is. Okay, so I know we're going a little long on this one. I need more water. Hold on one second. There are two types of EBV that result in an MS diagnosis. We just talked about the other autoimmune diseases. Now, what happens in an MS diagnosis? In the first type of EBV, a person exhibits neurological symptoms such as weak legs, weak arms, mild tremors, and severe tingling and numbness. These are the result of EBV neurotoxins inflaming various nerves in the body. It's commonly diagnosed as MS or Lyme's disease because remember those spirochetes? The toxins look exactly the same. They're those little springs. Though no lesions will show on medical scans. That's one type of MS, because people will say, I got diagnosed with MS, but I don't have any lesions. You see that in the groups a lot. People are asking, do you have lesions? How many lesions do you have? In the other type, EBV reaches the brain where it causes lesions, mild forms of encephalitis. Encephalitis is just swelling of the brain. It's a very scary word for swelling of the brain. And very similar symptoms as the previous type. If you've been diagnosed with brain lesions, do not fear them. Hundreds of thousands of people walk around with various lesions on their brain from small to large, and they continue to live their lives. I know I read this to you before, but it all comes together. In many cases, the symptoms that go along with this type of EBV are not from lesions themselves. They're still from those EBV neurotoxins. Because MS occurs in stage 4 of EBV, people with this condition also have a thyroid problem. I read this already. Oh, this one. One of the greatest mistakes is telling women that symptoms of menopause like hot flashes, night sweats, heart palpitations, dizziness, depression, hair loss, and anxiety are normal. They're not. They're all symptoms of EBV. Don't you wonder when people are talking about menopause, why some is so severe and some women are like, I barely noticed it, right? That's why. The EBV virus, some people have it, some people don't. Most do. And that's why, being 43 and, menopause is right around the corner. I say that as I'm going through IVF and trying to get pregnant. It's crazy. When people are heading into menopause, they're always fearing these terrible symptoms that they think are just, there's nothing they can do about it. It's just menopause. It's not. It's the virus. So killing this virus now is going to not only do good for you now, but you're going to be amazed when you go through menopause how easy it is. All right, so I'm finishing up now. I just wanted to say our bodies are not attacking itself. It's not. Our bodies were not designed with a flaw where if you do the wrong thing in your life, it's going to attack itself. Our immune systems are fighting a force that is invisible to medical science. One day, there is going to be tests to test for the Epstein-Barr virus in your organs, and all of this is going to go away. The autoimmune theory is just a theory. Like I said before, the MRI, the blood tests, the spinal tap, they're not answers. Those tests have to come back clear in order for you to be diagnosed. All of those things have to say there's nothing wrong with you, but you're telling the doctor that you still have symptoms. They go, oh, well, it's MS. Those tests are just to rule out that you don't have something else that could be causing your symptoms. Keep that in mind. Okay, I said this already. Up until now, no one can give you answers. Now you have them. Now you know what to do. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you the answers so that you have an option. You don't have to be sick. Now you have information that you can choose what to do with. Like I said, next month, I keep saying next month, I'm going to be rolling out a coaching program. If you guys want specific information week by week on how to do this, I'll be rolling that out. I'll send the information out as soon as I can. But what I want you to know is in this group, it's always going to be free. There's always going to be information in here each week. I will always do this so that you can start right away killing the virus. What I would say for someone who's right now feeling overwhelmed, like, what do? I don't know how to starve, kill, and detox. What you want to do right away is start on the lemon water and the celery juice. There's a video that I did. I have a YouTube link. If you don't want to scroll through the entire group looking for that video, I throw all the lives on a Facebook YouTube channel so that you could just go there and pick the video that you want to watch. My recommendation is to start with the lemon water and then the celery juice. What that's going to do is that's going to give you energy. That's going to clear your brain fog, and then that is going to allow you to want to go to the next level to continue your healing, because you really can't do anything when you're laying in bed all day and you're exhausted and you can't even get up to make a meal, let alone do this morning routine. So start slow, start in baby steps. And that's what my program is going to do. It's going to start in baby steps so that you're not ever overwhelmed. Little by little, each day you're doing something else. It builds, and eventually in 4 months, you've got the entire system down and you don't even feel like you did much. You just felt like you found some really cool new foods and new ways to eat them. Okay. Real quick, I know I keep saying that, and then we're going to go. I was looking at the time. I have noticed that there are a lot of people in this group with symptoms, and they are talking about fragrances, chemical fragrances. And there was a lot of questions on this. The chemical fragrances also act like a neurotoxin. If you're someone who likes your scented laundry detergent, your scented fabric softener sheets, or the candles that smell really good, all of those smells that you're smelling are neurotoxins. And a lot of them contain heavy metals that are feeding the virus and making them strong. I cut and pasted this too, this part that I'm about to read you, right from the medical medium, because I thought it was very important. This is one of the things that I don't talk about. It's later on in my program. Once we start tweaking and fine-tuning your lifestyle, that's when I go into the chemical fragrances, because we don't realize how many chemicals we have on our bodies at all time. Nail polish, makeup, hairspray, deodorant, I'm sure the list goes on and on. When I was healing, I didn't even wear nail polish, I didn't wear deodorant, and I didn't wear makeup, and I did everything that I possibly could to clean out my system. Thankfully, we don't have to do that today, because I have learned how to detox your system, and still wear makeup. And plus, there's so many makeup companies out there that are so much better than the crap that I was wearing. I was a single parent, so I got my makeup from the dollar store. Yeah, it was bad. All right, so I just want to read this real quick. Chemical fragrances, and this is taken from the medical medium. Research and science is unaware that the substance in chemical fragrances can be highly toxic and have the potential to negatively affect your lungs, your liver, your immune system, and your nervous system. Many people think that they are creating a more pleasing environment in their homes, stores, or workplaces by using air fresheners. Oh, air fresheners, don't use them. Scented candles or other chemical fragrances. In truth, these chemicals are disabling your ability to smell and releasing vaporized toxins into the air you breathe. These vaporized toxins then burden your lungs, building up a waxy, oily chemical residue in your lung sacs, and this may potentially reduce oxygen capacity. You need that oxygen. You need that oxygen for all of the thousands of chemical systems that are happening in your body. All right, so do some research on the chemical fragrances and how they're affecting your body, because they're doing a lot more damage than you think. And I would hate to see you doing all of this stuff to heal, but then lighting a candle every night and using the scented everything, the laundry detergent, the dryer sheets. You don't want to be smelling your clothes, because if you're smelling it, that means it's a chemical. But now if you're using I use essential oils on those wool dryer balls, and I throw them in. Clothes still smell great, and they're not chemicals. All right, I just heard my husband get home. He's going to be walking in here real soon. So those are the 4 stages of EBV. If anyone has any questions, please hit me up directly, message me, email me. It's gethealthy@mindingyoursoul.com. And I wanted to say also, I give you so much information on like nutrition, right? And how to kill the virus. When you are detoxing, when you're killing the virus and you are detoxing, a lot of, we're going to say shit, comes up. And it's not just the shit in your body, it's the shit in your mind too. When you detox, it's not just, when you're healing, you're not just healing the physical part of your body, you're also healing the mental and the emotional part of your body too. It is an entire wheel, and there are different spokes in that wheel. And that's why I highly recommend to at least try it once. Catherine's monthly clearing program for people with MS. It's $52, and what we do is it's the last Sunday of every month. I have been doing this for years because I know I constantly have to be detoxing everything, the physical part and the emotional part. Try it out once. It's not a lot of like woo-woo meditation, oh my God. There's a video in the group and also on the website, mindingyoursoul.com, under, I think it's resources or group clearing. There's a video that I did with me and Catherine explaining exactly what the monthly clearing is. I highly recommend it. I don't get any money from it. She gets the $52 because she's the one who's doing it. I am a client of hers, and I don't know how people can heal from MS without detoxing every level of their soul, the physical, the mental, the emotional. So this group is all about minding the matters of your soul, which is how I came up with the name of the group, Minding Your Soul, because I wanted MS to stand for something different. I didn't want it to be multiple sclerosis. I wanted it to be minding your soul. So take a look at that, and I'll probably post the link here in the comments too. Any questions, send me an email, send me whatever, and a message. And if you have anything that you want me to do a video on, if you have a question that you want me to explain it, I love doing videos on questions from members because it's going to help you directly. And if you have the question, you got to believe that there are going to be hundreds of other people who have that same question. So let me know what they are. I'll do a video on it. And I'll give you the research supporting the video. All right, everyone, thank you for joining me today. I know this was more me like talking at you, it wasn't more on a one-on-one. We're going to do like a question and answer in one of those Facebook rooms again. I really like that. A lot of people like that. All right, have a great night, and I will see you next week, or I'll see you during the week. Bye.